This video is going to cover how to edit the content on the home page. The first thing that you're going to always want to do is make sure that you're logged in. Make sure you go to the website and put in WP-admin. You're going to see a username and password area, which will be sent to you. And once you're logged in, you're going to see a screen just like this. Everything that is not covered in training, please disregard. This site is a monster. It can do a lot of things. When you see things like this, go ahead and just disregard anything that I don't cover, because once again, it's they've all been calibrated for you and set up. And the way that I built the site for you is really easy to navigate and take control of. So the first things first, we're going to go ahead and take this from head to toe, and we're going to take it from slider all the way down to the bottom here and see how to manipulate each one of these sections. So it's pretty cool. In the dashboard area, once you're logged in, I like to have a live environment open in one side and then the dashboard in the other. So what you're going to want to do is, let's just say we're going to start with the slider area. We're going to go to dashboard, we're going to go to pages, and I like to open up all pages. So that's going to give us a whole breakdown of all of these pages. Now, everything's built in somewhat chronological order for you, so you're going to kind of see this rhythm once I start to teach you. But first and foremost, always disregard this home page. This home page is something that's calibrated and coded to pull from this source code. So just in English, don't mess with this. You're going to start here. So slider is the first section of the site, and then everything from here on out is everything that you see on the site. Now, if you remember, there are sections that I have set to draft. That's because we didn't want them, but you can always add them back. So that was the pricing area, and that was a privacy policy area. We have those drafted. If you ever want to see them, you can hit preview. It'll open it up, and you'll see what that section looked like. But for the most of it, what we see here from head to toe is what is going on right over here. So first and foremost, slider. So we want to edit the slider. So the way that the site's built out is we're using a really neat tool that it makes it really easy to understand where stuff is. So you'll notice you're never mess with the title on pages that have already been set and calibrated for you. We'll cover in a later video creating new pages that you'll create a title and things of that nature. But the most important things, disregard everything but this area. This is the meat and potatoes of what is going on here. So what we're going to do here is that you'll see this is split up to be symmetrical. So there are 3 cell environments. And to ever edit this background area, you're going to go ahead and hit this pencil that is controlling the entire background cell element. So you'll hit this pencil, and in this area, the row settings are calibrated. Once again, if I don't cover it, I would recommend not changing it, but as you get more in depth about and more familiar with your site, these are all fun tools that you can do, changing the background to a video, etc. But for this particular tutorial, the design options is going to cover where that image, what you see in the front end here with the light bulbs, is being pulled from, is in this design options. So to take care of that, if you ever want to change it, it would be as easy as clicking this X button, and then you would hit plus, and then at this point it's going to let you do a couple things. WordPress is really neat and saves every file that you've ever used as far as imagery in a database for you, so you can reuse them. Now, if the photo that you don't want is in the database, then you're going to go ahead and go to upload file. And this is a pretty generic selecting where the file is. If it's on your computer or a folder, you select it, and then it's going to populate it here, and then you would click on it, hit set image, and then once you set image, the rule of thumb with WordPress, when you're working in a cell element, there will always be a box like this. It's imperative that you hit save changes, and then from save changes, this box will close, and now you can hit update and or preview. So if you don't know what it's going to look like, you can hit preview, you'll see a demo. If you know that you're pretty much going to like it, you can hit update, go back to the main site, refresh it, and see what it looks like. Now, that process is the same thing across the board for all pages, is whether you want to go ahead and update it and or publish. You always have to save those environments and then hit update for it to take effect. Now, in addition to that, we're moving on to the actual body of what's going on here, which we have a logo and we have script. So how do we change that? Well, it's right here. Now, rule of thumb, whenever you see script on your website, the way that I've coded it is I'm using HTML code that is actually telling the script to be white. So it's imperative that you hit Control All to just like see it all or like highlight. That's the name of the game, is just like you know the script's there because you see tax preparation, ITIN, etc., but we're not seeing it. Well, that's because, once again, you just got to highlight it all, and then you can see it and then edit it from there. So it's really neat. Once you're in this text element box, you can go ahead and select on this. You can then change, edit the add media, adding the image, adding text. Then also too, you can change the text here. And then once you play with this, you have two options. You have visual and you have text. Text can be a little funky, but it can be because you don't want to mess with anything that you don't know what it means. But when you want, for me, when I know I want to change a word, I can highlight it, and when I go to text, it's automatically highlighted, making it easier to find and easier to edit. So once you make your changes here, once again, save changes, hitting update, and bada bing, that's going to take effect. So now, this same process is exactly across the board for the entire home page. You'll notice moving on, slider, then your presentation, about us. These are all in chronological order. So this is slider, presentation, about us, etc. And all those go all the way down to the very end, which is call to action. So everything from call to action to slider has all of this set and calibrated for you to be able to log in, edit the page. And here's another cool thing too. Once you're on the site, if you don't know where that is, you can just hit edit page above there and it would edit that section as well. But either way, this is how to edit the home page. And now we're going to go ahead and move into creating sub pages, as you can see here that we have, for instance, downloads, client uploads, etc. And I'm going to show you how to handle that. So for any page that's not on the home page, obviously, to edit that, you once again go on that page, hit edit, and once you're on this screen, you're going to now see the same fundamentals of, once again, what we have. Our cell elements, everything can be dragged and dropped and or, once again, edited by clicking on this pencil for behind the cell element and or clicking on this green pencil, which is actually what's going on within the element. So because this is a button, you can then change the text, change the styles, where it's pointed to, etc. It's all a lot of neat tools in here. And then if you want to add more, it's as easy as hitting this plus sign. And now, because you're using this visual composer that I built for you, it depends on what you want to add to this page and or other pages. So if it's text, if it's an image, etc., and as you add those, for instance, let's say you want to add another row with a button. So we're going to say row. And now what's really neat is that if I'm going to be adding the same kind of look and feel, I can actually hit copy and paste here, this button here, and then drag and drop this to this cell element, and bada bing, you'll see now I can go ahead and calibrate this button to reflect exactly what I want. Now in this case, once that's done, it is once again imperative to hit update and or preview once that's taken effect. Now if you ever mess up and you forgot what you did, then rule of thumb is just go ahead, hit refresh, hit reload, and the page is going to go back to what it was before you hit update. Now, that's a really cool thing. I have to do that a lot if you do something and you forget what you did and you want to go back to basics. But once you've edited the page, that will take effect right away to all of your sub pages. And now we will close on how to add pages to the site and make sure that they're in the navigation. So we're going to go, once again, I like to see the site in its live environment. We notice that these are all the pages and how to add things. So once that's done, now what we could do is you want to add a page that doesn't exist. So you can do this a few ways. Up here, you can hit plus, page, and or here, add new on the left. I particularly like to do here, hit add page. Now here's some rule of thumbs. With your site, the rule is here, the title is what's going to populate on the front end. So here we're just going to put tester, just for the sake of conversation. And if you like that visual composer aspect, which I think you should, that I've built for you, you want to hit back editor. Once you hit back editor, you'll see your cell elements are blank because there's nothing here. And now's where we have fun. We're going to hit plus sign and we're going to hit I want text. And here's where you can see you're going to be able to edit your text and or add media, add a form. Once again, calibrating it like in a Word doc. Once that's saved, let's say I'm going to have some design elements and I say I want to have something on the right and I want it to not be full page. I can hit this hit double stack or 2/3 stack, 1/3 stack, 1/3 stack here. I can go ahead and hit like this, and now I can have more fun and add something here. Now what's happening is I'm designing the page so it's going to look like that. Now at any point when I want to see it, I can hit preview, and it's going to show me kind of technically what it's going to look like. Now with your site, always disregard this header. This header is not going to populate, and I'm going to show you how to turn that off by doing this. But you can start to see how the page would look by having the text, and then there's a blank spot here. But to turn that header off upon launch is at the very, very bottom. You'll notice disable page title. I do that because I personally didn't, your site's not built with having one of these. We didn't use that. If you want to have it, you can keep it, and you can change the image by going, keeping it on and going to set featured image, and that set featured image is going to go ahead and change whatever is populating here. But either way, once you've calibrated and built out your site page, now you're going to go to one other area to get it in the actual navigation. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to Appearance, you're going to go to Menus, and then you're going to see the menu area, which is already reflecting exactly what we see here, About, Team, Testimonials, etc. So once you've published that page, which for the sake of the tutorial, I'm not going to because I don't want to confuse you on your front end, but once you've published this page, hitting here, Publish, you're going to see that page populate here. This will be an option to add it to this section. So what you'll do is you'll click on that page, hit Add to Menu, and now what's really neat is you've got a couple options. One, you can leave it so that it just generically goes on and aggregates past contact, or you can drag and drop it to go somewhere else. And or if you want it to do what they call sister. So that means that you want it to populate underneath a tab, so when someone hovers over one of these, that particular area and or page goes underneath there. But once again, once this is done, it is always imperative to hit Save Menu, or always look for that button on that page that is a blue icon that's bringing the call to action that says Save or Update, and it will take effect right away. Once again, in this case, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to refresh the page to get rid of those settings so that the navigation goes back to where it was. But this is how to edit the home page, how to edit subpages, and how to create new pages.